points? Classes? Who needs them? Savage Worlds fans swear it's the better game without them, but D&D might just be able to hold its own. Hey there, adventurers. My name is Judd, and this is Short Rest Studios, where we believe fun builds community. Savage Worlds, a setting-agnostic RPG, has won over a lot of D&D fans since it was first published in 2003. With gameplay that focuses on fast fun, it may be the best role-playing game you've never heard of. Today, I'm giving you 3 ways Savage Worlds beats D&D, but you'll want to stick around because I'll also skirt it up already. Today, I'm giving you 3 ways Savage Worlds beats D&D, but you'll want to stick around because I've also got 3 ways D&D comes out ahead. The first way Savage Worlds beats D&D, character customization and development. I've said this before, but for truly customizable characters, I love a system like Chaosium's basic role-playing, which does away with classes and focuses on skills. Savage Worlds is not BRP, but it is a classless system. Characters in Savage Worlds are defined by attributes, skills, edges, and hindrances instead, allowing for a ton more flexibility and creativity when you're designing your character. Savage Worlds has 5 attributes: agility, smarts, spirit, strength, and vigor. And since this isn't a D20 system rather than scores and modifiers, each of these stats has a die type. You start with a D4 for each attribute and can generally go up to a D12. Your attributes don't affect skill rolls as they do in D&D, but they're used for things like determining how fast your skills increase as you advance, limiting your character's access to edges, which we'll talk about in a moment, deriving secondary stats like toughness or damage, and resisting some effects like grappling or spells. Hindrances are flaws or maybe dark secrets that help define your character. Some are just for roleplay and flavor, and some have real impact on the gameplay. You can take up to 4 points of hindrances when building your character. You can spend 1 point on a minor hindrance like hesitant, mean, or illiterate, or you can spend 2 points on a major hindrance like clumsy or code of honor or heroic or mute. You can take those in any combination, and while they can modify some roles in-game negatively, hindrances also give you points you can use toward attributes, skills, or edges, or even money or equipment. Edges are advantages your character has. They can be based on your background, like aristocrat, which gives you bonuses to persuasion or common knowledge of upper class things. Combat edges help you give or survive terrible damage, like calculating, which lets you ignore penalties to an action when you're lower in the initiative order. There are leadership edges, which let you give bonuses to your allies. For example, tactician lets you make a change to the initiative order. There are power edges for the magic users, like wizard, which lets you change the way a spell manifests, which can have real consequences. Professional edges reflect your training or sometimes the blessing of a higher power. For instance, Jack of all trades lets you make a smarts roll after observing or studying a subject to get a D4 up to a D6 in that skill. There are social edges for persuading people, weird edges, which are supernatural, and legendary edges that are specific to your setting. There are no levels in Savage Worlds. Instead, the pace of character advancement is under the GM's control. At the end of each session, every other session, or whenever the GM deems appropriate, a character can advance by doing one of the following: gain a new edge, increase a skill or skills, increase one attribute by a die type, permanently remove a minor hindrance, or reduce a major hindrance to a minor. And each time you advance, you gain a rank. You start at novice and can go all the way up to legendary with 16 advances. Ranks give you access to more powerful edges and some special abilities. A system like this feels much more organic and rewarding than D&D's class and level system. Advancement might be a little less dramatic than leveling up, but you don't have dead levels and your characters can grow how you want them to instead of in a predetermined way. Before we move on to number 2 on the list, I want to invite you to join the Adventurers Guild at patreon.com/shortreststudios or by hitting the join button right under this video. As thanks for your support, you get access to a members-only Discord channel. Every month there's a live stream hang with me and a free 5e and Dungeon Crawl Classics compatible magic item. Plus you get quarterly adventure seeds, and of course you get the knowledge that you're helping to keep the cameras and the dice rolling on this channel, along with my undying gratitude. Visit patreon.com/shortreststudios or hit the join button to support this channel. The second way Savage Worlds beats D&D: combat. Combat in Savage Worlds is designed to be fast and furious, which is not something I've ever heard anyone say about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And that begins with initiative. Instead of rolling and adding your dexterity modifier, Savage Worlds makes use of a deck of standard playing cards. And it seems like everybody has one of those, even if they never use it. The GM deals the cards randomly to both players and enemies at the beginning of each round. Then the turn order goes from ace down to 2. Ties are broken by suit order: spades, hearts, diamonds, clubs. And then there are 2 jokers. Yes, you'll leave the jokers in the deck, and anyone who gets a joker can act whenever they want to in the round, even interrupting someone else's action. They also get +2 to trait and damage rolls in that round.
Wait till they get a load of me.
Here's how attacks work. To hit an enemy in melee, you have to roll at least 2 plus half their fighting die type. That's a 2 if they don't have a fighting skill. Ranged attacks have a base target number of 4 that goes up the further the range is. If you hit, you roll damage based on the type of weapon you're using. I alluded to this earlier. Actually, I flat out said it. Savage Worlds characters don't have hit points. Instead, if the damage from an attack is less than their toughness score, basically nothing happens. If it's equal or greater, they're shaken. And that means they can only take free actions and have to roll to recover at the start of each turn. If that roll fails, they remain shaken. In Savage Worlds, every 4 points over a target number is called a raise. And for every raise on a damage roll, or if a character is hit while shaken, they get a wound. And wounds are serious in Savage Worlds. Each wound causes a cumulative -1 penalty to their pace and trait rolls. Once a character takes 3 wounds, they have to make a vigor check to see if they get a temporary or permanent injury or just outright die. Any more wounds and they're incapacitated. That means they can't take any actions, and so they again have to make a vigor roll, which might leave them injured, bleeding out, or dead. In D&D, sometimes even a solid hit doesn't do much, but every hit really matters in Savage Worlds combat. Finally, the third way Savage Worlds beats D&D: accessibility. Savage Worlds can definitely be classified as rules light. With simple math and character creation that can be done in half an hour, it's easy for players to learn and get started. There's one core rule book totaling a little over 200 pages. It's the only thing you absolutely need to play. It's a generally well-organized book with some great reference tables, and it's also really affordable. The PDF goes for $19.99 on DriveThruRPG, and as of the recording of this video, it was on sale for only $9.99. And you can get a hard copy for around $36 on Amazon. Probably for a little more at your local game store, but it probably is worth it to support them if you can. Since the game is designed to work in pretty much any kind of setting, a GM can create their own or grab any one of the many setting books available, like Deadlands for a Weird West campaign, Savage Rifts for sci-fi, or the Fantasy Companion for something a little more like the worlds of D&D. And you can even mix and match settings. D&D supposedly requires 3 core books, each one with 300 or more pages and costing around $180 total. That's a bit of a bar to entry. The books are generally well done, but it's certainly not rules light, which creates a really steep learning curve for players and DMs alike. Adventurers, I promised you this as well: 3 ways D&D comes out on top in the battle against Savage Worlds. I won't get into as much detail here because I'm assuming you probably already know D&D pretty well, but here they are. First, D&D's core mechanic is undeniably simpler. Yes, Savage Worlds is a rules-light game and pretty easy to learn, but some things like wounds can be a little hard to wrap your head around. They even say that in the rulebook. You roll different dice for abilities and skills, but part of the genius of D&D 3rd edition was the D20 system that still sits at the core of the game today. For every check, save, and attack, you roll a D20 and add a modifier. Yes, character creation takes longer and pretty much requires the use of D&D Beyond or something like it. Yes, combat can definitely be slow and cumbersome. Magic is complex and can be confusing. All those things may cloud the simplicity of that core mechanic, but if you're in doubt, just roll that 20 and know that higher is better. Second, there's a power to classes and leveling. This one may actually be more about playstyle, but it's undeniable that for a lot of us, choosing a category to put your character in and watching them level up with clearly defined milestones is incredibly satisfying. A lot of that may be due to the influence of video games on modern day culture and on the design of modern TTRPGs, but it's also just about human psychology. Savage Worlds' advancement is more organic and fluid, but it can feel slower and less dramatic. With D&D, you know when you hit level 3, you get your subclass and all the joy that goes with that. Whether you choose to be a Circle of the Moon Druid, an Oath of the Noble Genie's Paladin, or a Battle Master Fighter, suddenly your whole world changes. Finally, the third way 5e beats Savage Worlds: setting. Savage Worlds is generic by design. It's intended to be used for any kind of setting you want, from fantasy to Weird West to sci-fi to modern day. But while D&D's design tries to take a kitchen sink approach, it's pretty much synonymous with fantasy, for better or worse. There's an incredible depth of D&D lore going back 50 years, and a lot of it is entrenched in pop culture. Vecna, Mindflayers, Demogorgon, Baldur's Gate. Yes, D&D seems to have put all its eggs in the Forgotten Realms basket, but that's because the Forgotten Realms has appealed to a ton of people since Ed Greenwood created it. Savage Worlds has tons of great settings available, but the depth of lore and history and cultural touchstones in D&D is hard to beat. There you go, adventurers. There are a ton more ways that Savage Worlds is unique and fun. You need to check it out. In the meantime, what makes Savage Worlds better? What makes D&D better? Let me know in the comments. Hey, if you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And please consider supporting the channel by joining the Adventurers Guild at patreon.com/shortreststudios or by hitting the join button right under this video. If learning about game systems with different mechanics from Dungeons & Dragons gets you excited, check out this video, and I'll see you next time on Short Rest Studios. Wait till they get a load of me.